So guys, I know that I'm way later than I usually am. And I'm just going to have to chalk it up to life at this point. But this is your Monday astrology motivation. And I find myself, caught between two extremes, which is the integrity of being on schedule and showing up for a video because I promised, because that's integrity, right? There's integrity and continuity. But then there's also the integrity of, but if you're not really feeling it, do you do it? And working in the spiritual world, that's a question that you have to take seriously, because in the corporate world, I worked corporate for several years, for years, a decade. And, the answer in the corporate world is it don't matter if you don't feel like showing up to work. You show up to work because you're expected to be there and you have a team that's depending on you. And there is a very pragmatic, earth-based reality and truth to that version of integrity. Hey guys, whoever's joined. But in the spiritual community, when your heart has to be clear and your mind has to be clear so that your heart has a real nice, easy conduit to be able to articulate itself through. The concept of just showing up to work because you said you would is different, because you have to be in a good headspace, right? You have to be, the integrity lies in where you are spiritually and mentally. So spiritually and mentally today, I will admit to you guys, I was not in the headspace of coming on and giving it an astrology motivation talk, because I didn't feel motivated myself, But I thought, well, isn't that the perfect way to start this conversation? What's up, guys? Thank you for joining. You work with intuition, so obligation, I can only, yeah. So, I said, well, what a perfect way to use what I'm currently going through as a means of a conversation starter, to say, well, how do you motivate yourself when you don't feel motivated? And there are two primary ways that I can think of to handle, because the first and foremost, no, not even first, the only way to live your life is through truth. And sometimes your truth is frustration, and sometimes your truth is anger, and sometimes your truth is disappointment. And that's just your truth. And you have to honor your feelings. You can't deny them, right? That's trying to deny your feelings is 100% a surefire way to make things worse. You have to honor where you are when you're there. But that doesn't mean you have to stay there. I have an expression that I use all the time, and it says walk and cry at the same time. It doesn't mean you don't have a right to have emotions, but to sit still is not always the best way. Sometimes it is the best way. So we're going to talk about those two ways. One, sitting with it for a while and being still and giving yourself that time of stillness and break. And two, and it may even be not another an alternative to, but it could be step two, as to how do I use this disappointment to motivate me to move on, right? So first and foremost, you have to, hey, sweetie. So first and foremost, you have to acknowledge what you feel. 100% find your truth. And in that truth, if it's true, there is a conversation, right, that you have inside of yourself. Because if you're dealing with the truth and not just bad lessons or bad kind of like self-abuse that we have inside of our head sometimes, is just, it dishonors you completely, this horrible down talk of yourself. It's one thing to be disappointed in something not working out the way that you'd really hoped it would. It's another thing to badmouth yourself inside your head day after day after day, because that sets a whole new divide between you and your truth. If you hate yourself, then you're not in connection with your truth. So there is this concept of allowing yourself to, yes, heal it by feeling it 100%. But once I felt the anger and once I felt the disappointment, what the hell do I do with it? Where does it go from there? Where do I go from here? And it's a really good question. Like, where do I go from here? One step at a time. It's not about moving upward. It's about moving forward. It's about finding the energy and being proud of yourself. I think we touched upon this subject a little bit last week, which was to give yourself this little pat on the back. It's not like you're expecting a monument to be erected to you in your name because you took a step out your door. But you are, yay, hey sunshine, but you are giving yourself credit where it is due, and like acknowledge just how brave you had to be able to take that first step, let alone that second step, let alone be able to continue to walk and continue to be moving, right? To get back into motion after, because like really what happens if we take the metaphor of motion, when you come upon a disappointment or a rejection is bam, the momentum you had is stopped. It's almost like hitting a brick wall. And that's painful. And we have to acknowledge that even though we didn't literally hit a brick wall, our momentum in terms of our excitement about something, our inspiration for something, when we get rejected, there's a brick wall that we hit. You can't keep moving, at least not in this direction. So at the very least, there is a pause in order to figure out, well, which way can I move? And there's always a way to move. There always is. But sometimes it takes a lot longer to see it. So within that break period, how do we keep ourselves motivated? How do we keep ourselves moving forward when we don't feel the momentum? And that's when we rely on our brain. That's when we rely on our creativity. That's when we rely on our ability to think outside of the wall that was just put in front of us. And sometimes that takes escapism, like to actually dream, to dream as in to invent, to create. I'm sorry, not to dream, to imagine. Right? We can use our imagination to help us outside of a situation that we don't entirely have control over. Because in the 3D world, we don't entirely have control over everything that comes our way, right? We really don't. Yes, we can draw in specific energy by generating specific energy, but there's always those goddamn curveballs. So the bottom line, the 3D world is filled with those fucking curveballs, and curveballs hurt when they hit you. They just do. So ultimately, there is just this sense of, number one, humor is really a godsend in situations like this. Let me pause to read some comments. I don't want people to be intimidated by visible changes in me. I want them to be impressed by my authentic self. Okay. Yeah, you work with intuitive. Okay. So okay, good. I'm all caught up. There's not many comments yet. So ultimately, humor is a lifesaver. A life as in even a momentum saver. It is something that can really get you out of the worst case scenario, especially when it comes to emotional. Just a little bit, there's a leg up in every laugh. So in finding yourself, and that could be you making yourself laugh, you joking about the situation yourself, or going and finding somebody that does make you laugh, even if that's a professional comedian on a Netflix special. Laughter raises vibration 100% of the time. So laughter is a leg up. So when you find yourself in these moods, putting yourself around things that make you smile and that make you laugh is generating in your brain an alternative. And what is an alternative? It's a way out. It's a way out. It's another direction away from that wall that just smacked you in the face. Right? So that's laughter. Number one, laughter. So laughter opens up doors. Laughter is a leg up. Now, number two is your imagination itself, to get creative, to get inspired, to even going back to when you were a little kid and you could create your own worlds, or you invent your own worlds with like little building blocks, or you would draw or pictures and just create characters. And those characters can be based on your current feelings. Those characters could be based on your current situation. Either way, there's a level of escape in the creative process itself that offers a leg up, because it is once again giving you an alternative to what you see in front of you, which is that freaking brick wall. Your imagination and your creativity and the creative process itself is saying there's not just a brick wall there. There's something else there. There's something over here. It's putting your mind into that flexible mentality to find direction where there wasn't. So number one, we have laughter. Number two, we have imagination. Those are the ways to get out once you find you have the energy and ability to even start thinking of your way out. And then also conversing with yourself. If no one else will talk to you, pull a Wilson. You ever see that Tom Hanks movie where he pretends the soccer ball is somebody? First of all, he's using his imagination to fulfill a need, an emotional and psychological need in himself. So second of all, you can actually just start talking to yourself and saying, how long do I want to sit here? How long are these tears going to go on? I'm not saying they have to stop now. I'm just asking, where are we in this crying game right now? Where are we in this mood or this feeling? And it's a weird thing that happens when you start to intellectualize emotion. And that is, the emotion itself becomes lighter. It's almost like adding fire to water, which causes steam. Steam is still water, but it's lighter. It's lighter. It's not so heavy in and of itself. And so at the very least, it will lighten you a little bit. I come upon these topics. I'm kind of inspired because we're coming out of a week that was, at least astrologically, a very difficult week, probably the most difficult week in August. And now this week ahead, and I hope that you guys got to watch the weekly astrology forecast. I also hope you got to watch the new moon pick a card that I did, because that was brilliant. And I think I loved the messages in there. And this is all on Astrology Motivation. Born Without Boundaries, the zodiac messages are going to be coming up starting tomorrow. So we start off with Scorpio, top of the list, and then Libra and Sagittarius. So that's regularly scheduled programming. But over here, I definitely have stayed in touch with you guys over the weekend. So you got something on Friday, which was the pick a card. And then you also got the daily tarot card upload from Instagram. And then you also got Sunday, which was the weekly astrology forecast. So it was really only Saturday that I don't release any new content on Born Without Boundaries or over here on Astrology Motivation. So I do hope that you got to see the weekly astrology forecast. The weekly astrology is so much better this coming week and throughout the rest of August. The most challenging week of August was last week, but I find myself, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I find myself in a very exhausted state right now. Almost a state that you feel like I got this feeling of elation at the end of last week, like, yay, I'm out of the test. But now all I want to do is sleep. All I want to do is sleep. And it's almost like, yeah, that's kind of all you may want to do. Now, what does sleep do for you? It offers you a little bit of an escape. It offers you much needed rest. And it also offers your imagination time to just not be encumbered by all the other responsibilities and duties that it serves day to day, basically helping you process information, helping you deal with uncomfortable information, helping you be ingenuitive. Your imagination is working at all times. We don't give it a lot of credit at all times, but it is working at all times. But when we dream, it is 100% dedicated to our healing, right? To us being able to communicate what we need to ourselves, with us being able to heal, just be able to heal. And so give yourself that chance to dream. And if you have been feeling exhausted, you're not alone. A lot of times when through energy shifts, we deal with this in the way sleeping is part of our tactic to handle the shift. And it's not to escape it, but to put us into a state of mental clarity, of a place where, since our brain isn't working overtime, interacting with everybody on the street, we can just like settle into sleep. It can actually process all the information that it's downloaded, right? So this is that time when your basically computer gets put on sleep. Your internal computer gets to just sort of take care of everything that it already has to deal with, as opposed to, all this new information and you working on it, and it's all then its processing is divided, right? Sleep gives your human computer the ability to process information in a way that it is not divided. It is 100% able to process just based on what is good for you, right? To focus on what is good for you. I want to just get over to the comments a second. Weekly was, oh, thank you so much. I always talk to myself and even times answer. And that's important, actually, because what you're doing is you're actually being your own Socratic method. You're actually helping yourself debate ideas, right? So you can get to the best one. What happened with Ryan? Sunshine, wishing you healing. I missed something. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry about your father passing. My condolences, Ryan, to you on this new journey, this new part of your life that is going to look very different from everything in your life up until this point. So that was a major shift, clearly, Ryan. So our prayers are with you. Sleeping, music, and also friends. Yeah. And because what is that? Sleeping, music, friends. It puts you in a state of comfort. It's just like, and I don't mean to sound tacky. It's just like usually after a funeral, what will happen is people will come by and they will, at least in the Italian tradition, they will offer gifts. They not gifts, they offer food. And the concept behind that is not celebratory. It is to take care so that the family doesn't have to worry about taking care of their basic needs, because they know that grieving in and of itself takes tremendous energy. So people offer things like food, or you need me to take care of the kids. They're doing that so that you have all your energy focused on healing and grieving. The grieving process is a healing process. I know it doesn't feel like it, but there is usually pain that comes with healing. So it's almost like a crutch. That's what I'll say. And so music and friends and sleep become that crutch, not in a bad way, but in the support way, so that your brain can take its energy off of all those other things that it has to think about every day, and it can just process that huge overload of emotion that it just got. So that, in other words, your friends, music, sleep is helping you to not fry your brain with everything that's going on in it when you're in a state of grief, or you're in a state of just change, and maybe turmoil, maybe it's just change and transition. It's those outlets that are just helping us take that stress off of us, which is, I think, really a really important shift in our life. So allow yourself to sleep, not for escape, but for healing, to help yourself process what you already have to process. And if slowing down your schedule is something that you need, then that's what you have to give yourself. And so slowing down your schedule, giving yourself that ultimate amount of brain space to be able to process all the information you're already dealing with, saying, I respect everything on the outside of me, but I can't take anything new on right now because I'm already dealing with too much. That is a very balanced statement. It's a very balanced way of handling your transition. But ultimately, astrologically speaking, a pressure valve has been released. It has been let up from what we were feeling last week. And we're not going to feel it again the rest of this month. So ultimately, we are going into a solid 2.5 weeks of friendlier times and friendlier skies. And if in the beginning all you can do is sleep, it's because you're still processing information. And when you wake up, you do those things, you take one step at a time, and then you can start thinking about implementing those other strategies, like comedy, like imagination, which come in to actually help you start thinking finally about beginning steps to new things, about those first steps in a different direction. Let me read some of the comments. Been focused on getting the huge overload. Thank you for your blessings. That's interesting. Oh my God. Oh my God. Sorry, guys. Usually moderators will do this, but I just have to. Yeah, I just have to take this person off the channel. It's just ridiculous and stupid. It is interruptions from people like that, which is why I stopped doing lives on Born Without Boundaries. But I'm back here. I want to keep myself devoted to doing one live a week, and I want it to be motivational. And last week's topic was really motivating yourself, like manifesting yourself out of a rut, and what kind of manifestations you can start when everything around you feels like it has stalled. But now coming out of it, there is just this sense of, well, what if you don't feel motivated? And I have to say this, you always have to be on your own side, especially to avoid depression. You have to be on your own side. So if you don't feel motivated, the only thing you don't do is allow your brain to start being mean and talking to yourself like, well, stop being fucking lazy. Get up and start doing work. You got to do something. Why haven't you done anything? Like, that's the kind of shit you need to not allow your brain to do. Everything else, allow your mind to wander. Maybe allow yourself to watch television if it gives you inspiration. Allow yourself to sleep and rest and relax, but always do it in the spirit of, I'm giving myself what myself needs. I'm helping myself be relieved. I'm helping myself heal, so that you remain on your own side. And by remaining on your own side, you will avoid slipping over that slope into depression. I struggle with depression. This is something that I work with all the time, which is I can feel myself getting near that edge. And when I do, I can pull myself back from the edge by catching how I'm talking to myself in my head, because there is that negative self-talk. It's actually a voice in your head. You hear it. You don't hear it externally, but you actually hear it, that will figure something to do in even a tone that suggests you should be ashamed of yourself for not knowing. No, honor where you are. Okay, I want to watch television. Let me watch some television. Okay, I need to call my friend. Let me call my friend. Okay, do I feel like I should be busy doing something? Okay, let me be busy doing something. It doesn't have to be big. And that's when you can bring into play what we talked about last week, which is those practices of, let me write a mundane list. Let me write a list of 5 things that I know that I can do. I'm going to go and I'm going to make my bed. All right, I made my bed. Check. I'm going to go and I'm going to turn the dishwasher on. Okay, I'm going to turn the dishwasher on. So now you're putting yourself in the mindset, okay, I'm going to do stuff, but it's stuff that I know is very practical. I can see it happening. I can see it taking place. And I can do it and I can impact it right now. And you're going to do that for a couple of days until you start to get to a point where you're like, okay, maybe now I'll start looking at college courses. Maybe now I'll start job seeking on things like LinkedIn, places to browse. Maybe now whatever your situation is. Maybe now I'll go to the piano and play a few keys. I'm not going to immediately tell myself to start composing something, but at least I can play a few keys and bring myself back to this seated position of being at the keys again. It's like step by step, you're going to go with yourself and stay by yourself and stay grounded in being on your own side. That is what is most particularly important during this stage of transition. And transition is scary. It's okay to be scared of that. Wow, that's negative self-talk is correct. Honor where you are. Yeah. Wait, what is this message? This is really interesting. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah. If I'm not trying to like take attention off of the subject matter, but I also don't want people getting harassed or like being a conduit for negative, like mean things happening. So today the world will be a little bit lighter and it will offer you little tidbits of hope. And the one thing that I would suggest today is to not expect anything big or any big breakthroughs, because this whole luckiest day of the year, 888, the Lion's Gate, it's true, but it's internal. It's not external. It's a way of getting back in touch with your heart when this whole year has dumped so much garbage on top of it. So it's almost like the shaking off of what is getting in the way of you and your soul purpose or your true happiness, or the things that not give you pleasure. Pleasure is different than happiness, right? But really the things that make you happy, it's like you're able to shake off the garbage that's been dumped on it after all this time. And it's sort of that gateway to feeling lighter again and seeing the sunlight again and believing in yourself again and getting on your own side again. And that's really the heart of Leo season, is being on the side of the self, not being selfish, not being conceited, but being on your own damn side, like believing in yourself even when you're feeling dumpy, believing in yourself and your talents even when it's a little bit difficult, letting yourself rest, giving yourself the rest, knowing that I can rest and still come back to work. I can still do work. I can still come back to where I am. I can believe in myself enough to know that I will pick it back up again. I don't have to constantly be pounding myself. And if you want to see steady development, then get yourself on a schedule. And you only have to start with 5 minutes a day. Right? You only have to start with a couple of minutes a day. I think Abraham Hicks recommends like 17 minutes a day or something like that I might be off, but it's like you only have to start with a couple of minutes a day. As long as you do it every day, then it will become a new pattern and it'll become very simple and very easy. And what do you do what do you want to do? Do you want to write every day? Do you want to exercise every day? What's going to help you get out of your own way, right? And what do I mean by get out of your own way is get back on your own side. That's what I mean. When you are in your own way, you are putting you are the obstacle between you and your happiness. And a lot of times we do that and we don't even realize that we're doing it. So a wonderful way to step out of your way is to honor what you're feeling in that moment, to not be afraid and not be judgmental, and let it be. It's interesting how you will not have to make it not be. It will exhaust itself. If you allow it to be, it will go away on its own. It doesn't last unless you keep yourself stuck in this loop of, I got to do something about it. 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 But then you're stuck in the presence of it and you're stuck in the energy of it. It's like, I don't have to do anything about it. I just have to allow it. I have to allow myself to feel this way. I have to allow myself to nap, and I have to allow my body to wake up refreshed, having given myself what I need. And so where we start today is getting back on our own side, and how imperative that is in terms of manifestation and building the life that you want. This is Michelle, Born Without Boundaries and Astrology Motivation. If you guys love this content, please remember to like this video and share this video and subscribe to both of my channels. And right now, in about the next 10 minutes, I'm going on to Instagram for my daily tarot card reading live. So if you'd like, you can find me on Instagram at born_without_boundaries. I'm about to go do it. If you don't want to go over to Instagram, that's fine, because I'll be posting the daily tarot card reading here, just like I do every single day. And a reminder that Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Libra messages for this energy this week are coming up tomorrow at 9 a.m. Los Angeles time. I love you guys, and I will see you hopefully back here next Monday. Let me just really quickly read some of the comments here. Yeah, like I would say ignore those people. A lot of times, let me say this, the more you pay attention to them, they don't care that it's bad energy. They just want your energy. So you must ignore them and not engage in conversation with them. It's not necessarily best to feel neutral, John. It's just best to be able to come back to neutral, right? Be able to come down and be able to bring yourself back up, and to be able to have some control over where you are at each step. There are highs and lows in life. And like, I think the reality of life is that it is hills and valleys, and it's a wave. Why? Because it's a vibration, and all vibrations have waves. They move in wavelengths, and we are just a whole accumulation of wavelengths happening together. So yeah, life is a wavelength. It is an ebb and flow. So not every single second of every single day is going to be something that you're excited about or that you're horrified of. There are ebbs and flows. If you keep things neutral all the time, that's a flat line. That's death. You don't want that either. You want that ebb and flow. You want that ebb and flow. You want that ebb and flow. It's not a roll. You can compare it to a roller coaster ride. It's life. It's life. It's like that heartbeat. The heartbeat. A beating heart has peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys, right? Because we are vibration. That's what we are. We are a fucking wavelength, or multiple happening at the same time. We are a harmony of wavelengths. When that wavelength gets too neutral, it's because we're not living. And you can have a physical death, you can have a spiritual death, you can have an emotional death. I say live while you're alive, right? And so expect that there's going to be peaks and valleys in life, and just be able to use that neutral point as almost a concept to be able to bring yourself back up to aim for, or to be able to settle yourself into, to be able to like settle down into. So have that neutral, not so much as the line that you're drawing with your life, but as an invisible line to help you stabilize those peaks and those valleys. But you don't want to get rid of the peaks and valleys, because those peaks and valleys are life. That's what they are. But that was a good point. April, yeah, I responded to you on Instagram. I was in Carlsbad this morning. I walk my dog there sometimes. So that was me. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I am going to get off here and I'm going to hop onto Instagram, and hopefully I'll see you guys over there. Thank you so much for all 28 of you joining. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you next Monday.